Picture this. A woman in 1597, widowed 4 times, richer than most nobles, and absolutely determined to prove she answers to no man. Meet Bess of Hardwick, the second most powerful woman in England after Queen Elizabeth I herself. While most widows mourned quietly, Bess grabbed her inheritance and built something extraordinary. Hardwick Hall, a mansion so bold, so revolutionary, it made royalty jealous. With walls made almost entirely of glass, something impossible for most people to afford, she literally built a house of light when everyone else lived in darkness. But here's the twist. This wasn't just about wealth. Every stone, every window, every detail was a weapon in her war for power. The initials E.S., Elizabeth Shrewsbury, crowned the rooftop 6 times, screaming to the world, "I am here, I am powerful, and I will not be forgotten." What drove this incredible woman to such extremes? Let's step inside her glass palace and uncover the secrets. Hardwick Hall, more glass than wall. This phrase wasn't just poetry. It was shock and awe in architectural form. In an era when glass was extraordinarily expensive, taxed heavily, and considered a luxury only royalty could afford, Bess covered her mansion with it. The huge windows weren't just for show. They were a massive middle finger to social conventions. Each pane declared her wealth louder than gold ever could. The building's symmetry was mathematical perfection, with 6 towers rising like crowns, making it look more like a castle from a fairy tale than a home. Inside, the great chamber sat on the 2nd floor, not the ground floor like everyone else's, forcing visitors to climb stairs, look up at towering tapestries, and feel small before they even met Bess. The long gallery stretched 166 feet, the 2nd longest in England, filled with portraits of powerful people. Her connections, her network. Every architectural choice whispered power. But why did Bess need to prove herself so desperately? Bess of Hardwick wasn't born powerful. She clawed her way there through 4 strategic marriages, each one adding to her fortune and influence. Her first husband died young, leaving her a widow at barely 20 with a modest inheritance. Her second marriage brought land. Her third husband was Sir William St. Lo, captain of the Queen's Guard, who controversially left everything to Bess instead of his own family, sparking scandals that echo through history. But her fourth marriage to George Talbot, Earl of Shrewsbury, one of England's wealthiest nobles, was her masterstroke. Together they guarded Mary, Queen of Scots, for 15 years, a responsibility that brought them into the inner circle of Elizabeth I's court. When that marriage soured, rumors flew about affairs and betrayals. Bess walked away with massive wealth from the settlement. She wasn't just lucky. She was brilliant, manipulative, and utterly strategic. By the time she started building Hardwick, she had survived court intrigue, family betrayals, and society's contempt for powerful women. For 15 years, Hardwick's story intertwined with one of history's most tragic figures, Mary, Queen of Scots. Bess and her fourth husband were responsible for guarding Mary, the Catholic queen who threatened Elizabeth I's Protestant throne. Imagine the tension. A prisoner who was herself royalty, living under Bess's watch, plotting escapes, receiving secret letters, always dangerous. The responsibility was enormous, costing the Shrewsburys a fortune and putting them under constant suspicion. Some historians believe Bess grew sympathetic to Mary. Others suggest she reported Mary's every move to Elizabeth's spies. The strain destroyed Bess's fourth marriage, with George accusing Bess of terrible things, including spreading rumors about his relationship with Mary. When Mary was finally executed in 1587, Bess was free from this burden, and from her husband. Within years, she began building Hardwick Hall with her settlement money. Was the mansion her celebration of freedom, her monument to survival, or her declaration that she had emerged from the shadow of queens and husbands to become a power unto herself? Walk into Hardwick Hall today and you're stepping into 1597. Unlike most historical homes that were renovated, modernized, or destroyed, Hardwick remains remarkably unchanged. The original tapestries still hang on the walls, priceless textiles showing biblical scenes, classical myths, and hunting parties, their colors somehow still vibrant after more than 4 centuries. Bess's embroideries, which she created with Mary Queen of Scots during those long years of captivity, are displayed in glass cases, tiny stitches telling stories of patience, tension, and perhaps friendship between captor and prisoner. The furniture is original, the plasterwork untouched, the painted cloths still visible. Why? Because Hardwick became a secondary residence for the Cavendish family, Bess's descendants, who preferred their other estates. Neglected by fashion, it escaped the renovations that destroyed so many Tudor buildings. When the National Trust acquired it in 1959, they found a time capsule. You can literally see where Bess walked, touch the wood she touched, look out windows she looked out. It's history you can breathe. Bess didn't just build a house, she built a dynasty. Her children and descendants became some of Britain's most powerful families, including the Dukes of Devonshire and the Dukes of Newcastle. Through strategic marriages, a skill she taught her children well, her bloodline connects to countless noble families across Europe. Her granddaughter, Arbella Stuart, had a legitimate claim to the English throne after Elizabeth I, making Bess the grandmother of a potential queen. This put Bess under intense scrutiny from Elizabeth's court. Was she plotting to put Arbella on the throne? The anxiety was real. Elizabeth I imprisoned Arbella at various times, and Bess had to navigate these dangerous political waters carefully. Even today, Bess's descendants remain influential, and Hardwick Hall stands as the ancestral seat of the Cavendish family. When you visit, you're not just seeing one woman's achievement, you're witnessing the birthplace of a power structure that still influences British society. Bess's true legacy wasn't just glass and stone, it was the empire of influence she embedded in her family tree. Look closer at Hardwick Hall, and you'll discover it's covered in hidden messages and symbols. The roofline features Bess's initials E.S., Elizabeth Shrewsbury, repeated 6 times in massive stone letters. You can see them from miles away, a massive declaration of identity. But there's more. The number of windows, the measurements of rooms, the placement of doors, all follow mathematical patterns connected to numerology that Elizabethans believed brought luck and divine favor. Some researchers argue the building's design incorporates sacred geometry, with proportions that mirror religious texts and classical architecture. The tapestries contain allegorical messages about power, virtue, and wisdom, carefully chosen by Bess to educate and intimidate her visitors. Even the plasterwork on the ceilings shows classical gods and goddesses, but positioned in ways that scholars debate to this day. Was Bess comparing herself to Diana, the goddess? Was she making statements about Elizabeth I through mythological parallels? The house is a puzzle, a 3-dimensional code that reveals Bess's education, her ambitions, and her sophisticated understanding of symbolism. Every visit reveals something new, hidden in plain sight. With a history this dramatic, Hardwick Hall naturally has ghost stories, and they're chilling. Staff and visitors report seeing Bess herself, still walking the long gallery in her elaborate Elizabethan dress, checking on her house centuries after death. Some claim to hear footsteps on the grand staircase when no one's there, or see shadows moving behind the massive windows at night. The most disturbing story involves Mary Queen of Scots. Witnesses report feeling sudden cold spots in rooms where Mary stayed during her captivity, and some claim to hear a woman weeping quietly in the early morning hours. One particularly persistent legend tells of a blue lady who appears in the entrance hall, possibly one of Bess's relatives who died tragically. Skeptics dismiss these as imagination, but even the National Trust acknowledges the unusual number of reports. Night security guards have refused to work alone in certain sections. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there's something undeniably atmospheric about Hardwick at dusk, when the massive windows reflect the dying light and the empty long gallery stretches into shadow. Perhaps some presences refuse to leave. Hundreds of Tudor mansions once dotted England. Why does Hardwick stand virtually unchanged while others crumbled or were demolished? The answer is fascinating. It became unfashionable. As architectural styles changed through the 1600s and 1700s, the Cavendish family preferred their other estates, particularly Chatsworth House, which they continually updated and expanded. Hardwick became the old house, used occasionally but never significantly altered. This neglect became preservation. During the English Civil War, when many grand houses were destroyed, Hardwick's relative obscurity saved it. During the Victorian era, when owners improved medieval and Tudor buildings with disastrous renovations, Hardwick remained untouched. By the time the National Trust took over in 1959, they recognized they had something extraordinary: a Tudor mansion preserved almost exactly as Bess left it. The forest of trees Bess planted now surrounds the hall, creating an isolated, timeless atmosphere. Sometimes being forgotten is the greatest blessing. Hardwick's survival is an accident of history, but it gives us an unparalleled window into Tudor ambition, architecture, and the life of England's most remarkable self-made woman. Today, Hardwick Hall remains one of England's most important historical sites, managed by the National Trust and open to the public. When you visit, you're experiencing something rare: a building virtually unchanged since the Elizabethan era. Walk through rooms where Bess entertained nobles, climb the same grand staircase she climbed, stand in the long gallery where she displayed her power to visitors. The gardens, restored to their Tudor layout, show how Elizabethans designed outdoor spaces, with herb gardens, orchards, and carefully planned walking paths. Special exhibitions showcase Bess's embroideries, including the pieces she created with Mary Queen of Scots. History made tangible through tiny stitches. The National Trust has preserved everything carefully, using conservation techniques that protect the fragile textiles and original materials. You can even see evidence of how the house functioned: servant passages, kitchens, storage areas, revealing the army of people needed to maintain such a palace. Hardwick Hall isn't just a museum, it's a portal. It's the closest you can get to meeting Bess of Hardwick herself and understanding the world she commanded. If you love history, architecture, or powerful women who refuse to be forgotten, Hardwick Hall is waiting to tell you its secrets.